So we landed in Iowa. We got there. I'd never been on this farm before. I'd been in this general area, hunted some land, some public land right close by. So I just grabbed my stuff, started hiking up in there. I'd looked at some points on the map, some areas that I really felt would be key movement points, plus with some tips from the farmer where he had seen deer. And then once I looked at the map and the structure and the cover, I could tell why they were moving through these certain points from one bedding area across an open to another. The only problem was I wasn't able to hang the stand exactly where I wanted to the first night just because of the wind direction. So we go in the next morning, and once we got across the field, got into our stand there, it wasn't no time we had deer moving. The very first buck I encountered that morning, I couldn't really tell how big the deer was. I knew it was a good deer, but I didn't actually think it was a shooter because all I saw was a behind view. It was still low light. He went into the woods, and so I wasn't thinking much of it. We sat there for a while. A little bit later, an absolute giant comes jumping out of the same hole that deer went into the timber. Knew it wasn't the same buck. Absolute monster, typical buck. Was doing everything I could to try to get a shot at this deer, but he was so far away. He was with some does, and he was in that mood where he was just smelling them does, and there was 2 other smaller bucks in the field. And I had grunted to this deer and got him to start coming towards me. Well, then as he was coming, I thought he was coming right to the tree, and he was. Well, one of them smaller bucks had gone down in the timber, and I think he bumped a doe and started making all kinds of commotion. Well, that deer heard that, seen it, and that live motion you can't contend with, and that deer just bolted right down in there after those deer, out of sight, out of mind. We never saw him again. One thing we had noticed was how these deer were using this certain aspect of this farm, you know, and again, the very first tree I wanted to hang in that night because of the wind is where these deer were all walking right by it, but we just couldn't hunt that spot because of the way the wind was. But it felt good to know in my mind that looking at an aerial map, I was picking the right spot. And I knew that eventually we had to get in that one tree that I really wanted to be in. I knew that we were still far enough out that we weren't going to get a shot at anything. So we instantly got down and moved about another 75 yards at 9:30 in the morning. The time of year, you know, we're talking very first part of November. These deer are on their feet. The midday cruising is starting to happen, so we just had to be there. Don't be afraid to make those moves at that time of year, whether you want to get into a different tree or you've got to be aggressive at times, especially for me when I'm out of state. I only got a few days to be there. So I've got to do whatever I can to tip the odds in my favor. And what I have found being out of state hunting deer I don't know, my favor is aggressiveness and getting aggressive with those deer and being where I need to be. Once we got moved, we didn't see the shooter buck that we wanted to, but we made our adjustments for 2 days later knowing that we were going to have the right wind to hunt that stand where all those deer had come out of. And for me, I think one of the big game changers in the 2018 season was the phase foam system. When you're hiking a mile, 2-3 miles into a stand, you're still going to get worked up, you're going to sweat, your body's going to give secretions that you can't control. And so the phase foam, you get in the stand, you're sweating, you just kind of give yourself a minute, let that roll off. You take that foam, you put it in your hands, and you start running that stuff through your hair, through your face, you know, you get it all over you where your skin is exposed. 1, that I found, it helped cool me down. 2, it felt good. It was almost like I was taking a shower. 3, it dissolves really fast. And 4, it kills the odor. I mean, it's amazing. It blew our minds. So we know it works, and that gave us just that extra confident level that we needed throughout the rest of the whole season, not only just on this one hunt. Finally then, we got to hunt the stand where I really wanted to hunt from the very first day. 2 days after hunting up here, we finally got that right wind. We got up into this stand in the morning. We'd moved it in the middle of the afternoon the day before. We were prepared. I was watching my weather app, watching the winds, knowing what we needed to do and being mentally prepared. Knowing what you're going to face, you have to make those moves and accordingly adjust. We did that. We put the time in, we put the stand in, and I'm really excited at this point because we'd seen so many deer move through this spot that I just felt like down deep in my gut, this was the day that we were going to kill a buck. right after daylight. We could see some deer moving. And it was probably 40 minutes after daylight, I could hear a buck grunting behind me in the timber, right where all those bucks had come from. So instantly, anticipation levels are high. You know, I'm burning through the woods, through the timber with my binoculars. I can see this deer walking. We tried to be patient. He got out of sight on us, but the leaves were dry enough that we could somewhat hear what the deer were doing. All of a sudden, I can see big antlers. So as this big buck's walking in, and I know it's the shooter, I'm communicating with the camera guy just a little bit. I can hear him saying he's on him. I was already at full draw. He had no idea what was about to happen to him. Big buck in Iowa, baby. Oh yeah. Yeah, baby. Yes. Oh, man. Yeah. Just what an incredible feeling, all that work that pays off, every ounce of detail that you've put into it, hanging the stands, scent control, planning, the aerial maps, everything. It's just a bow hunter's dream, and you feel so blessed. And I'm not the best hunter in the world, but I do believe that people that really drive themselves and really truly work hard at it will definitely be more successful than the people that aren't as prepared. 170-inch deer. He had 10 inches broke off. Just a beautiful, heavy Iowa buck. I know for us, the phase system is what truly helped us beat that whole week. Encountering all those deer, being around them deer, being able to move in and out of there. I just don't think that they really were so alert as to what was going on. I think the phase system completely helped us eliminate that, keep it to a minimum, and give us the edge that we needed to shoot yet another Boone Crockett buck. Some of the keys to success on this hunt: one, preparedness, looking at the aerials before I even got to this place, being determined enough to get up in there, hang these stands, accessing and exiting these stands in different directions, getting your mind right, your nerves, everything, and being prepared to shoot your bow. Even when you're out of state like that, shoot your bow. And using scent control, like I said, with the phase system. Take that time and you'll find that you'll just be way more successful. Look at that.